Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fan Interference with Wichita Wingnuts manager Pete Rose Jr. Fan Interference is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to pose your questions and comments to Pete related to the Wingnuts, baseball or sports in general, or just to talk about life events that are going on. In this week's episode, Pete provides to us some team updates. He shares with us his insights into baseball, and Pete answers whether he's going to be providing counseling advice during the season. So let's get right to Fan Interference. All right, well, let's welcome back Manager Pete Rose. So, Pete, let's first of all start with your team updates that you'd have for us.
Well, let's see. Drew Taylor was placed on the disabled list right there towards the end of spring training. Just a little fatigue, little dead arm. But I think, he's going, we put him on a 7-day DL, and he's, getting treatments, starting to work back, get back in a little baseball shape. I think he'll be fine. We signed a kid, Carson Goldsmith, just happened to get released from St. Paul and was on his way home to Texas and stopped and threw for us on opening day. And actually, we signed him to a contract, and he's pitched twice, and he's a converted catcher, hard thrower, hard worker. So I was super glad that he stopped by on his way home and decided to get up on a bump for us and let us see what happened. So it was a blessing in disguise, and we're glad to have him.
Now, with Andrew Taylor sitting on the DL for the first part of the season, who was going to wind up closing out games? Because I was understanding he was going to be your closer.
Frankie Reed is our closer at that's what we decided to go with, and had a rough, not really a rough first outing, but really bounced back well and got the win on Saturday's game. I mean, he pitched good on Friday, and just kind of wasn't meant to be. But Frankie Reed, I expect big things from him. I love his demeanor. He's another guy, as of all my guys are, that just actually loves going to the ballpark and working hard. But bounced back on Saturday and picked up the win as we won it in the ninth. So Frankie's going to be our closer as we start this 2016 campaign. And like I said, I look for great things out of him this season.
Excellent. Well, let us head to our fan questions this week. Our first one comes from Bill from Wichita, who says, that was a tough first series for you, Skipper. Were you surprised by the hitting performance of your team?
No. I mean, I'm taking it the lack of hitting performance, I would say. But, not really. I'll tell you, Lincoln's closer's really good. I mean, he pitched in big leagues, and, he came in and shut us down. And, like I said, tip your cap to their staff and their players and their staff. They came in and, had a great first series. But, hitters were just a little bit behind. I think we were, anxious with, runners in scoring position. But, a lot of people don't want to realize this. Yesterday, we were down 7 and brought the tying run to the plate in the ninth. So I've seen a lot of great things this weekend, by our hitters. And, we're going to be fine. It's just, maybe they're a little ahead of us right now. Maybe we're a little anxious, but our offense will get clicking here shortly.
Excellent. Next comes up Trent from Wichita, who says, by what you talked about in the first show, Pete, were you not expecting to be doing anything in baseball this season when the Wingnuts contacted you?
Yes. I was perfectly content on being home and being a normal dad and barbecuing and taking my son to baseball practice, my daughter to soccer practice. But, it had to be kind of the right situation to bring me out of that, and Wichita ended up being that right situation to get me out of there. So I did. I planned on being a dad and watching my son's baseball season and my daughter's softball and soccer season and just kind of doing the family thing. But, yeah, absolutely, I wasn't planning on doing anything.
Next comes up from Lou from Wichita, who has an interesting question for you. First of all, says, Pete, big fan. When you took the job, had you ever been to Wichita before? And did you know how hot it would be in Laredo, Joplin, and Wichita in the summer?
Well, it's funny. My dad, when I talked about taking the job here in Wichita, first and foremost, I've never been to Wichita. I've always, I know about their basketball program and their baseball program, but I've never been to Wichita. But the first thing my dad said is, Pete, that was the hottest place I've ever been to in my entire life for a baseball game. And he was here last year. So I kind of knew coming in it's going to be super hot, but I'm a Midwest guy. But from what I hear about Laredo, I played in Mexico. I know it gets hot, but I don't think it'd be any worse than Arizona. They say it's a dry heat, but 100's 100. So I guess I did know coming into it. But like I said, my dad said this probably was the hottest place he's ever been to. Me in Wichita. So I guess I'm gonna get ready for that.
Next up is Mike from Newton, who says, "You and your dad were always such hard-nosed players. How do you view the rules against running into the catcher and the new slide rules at second base?"
That's a tough question. I mean, listen, I like some contact. I always have and always will, and I just think that I understand the safety part of the game, but it's part of the game. I mean, if you're trying to win a game, and you can't go in there and get after the catcher, try to break up a double play. I think it's I kind of understand it, but I really don't understand it. So I have to say that I'm not for that, but it's the rules, so I guess I got to abide by those. But the way I was taught to play the game was, you do anything you can to break up a double play, and if you got to go in and barrel a catcher and try to get that ball loose, that's what you got to do. So. I just think they're just trying to look out for player safety and everything else. But last time I checked, not too many guys got hurt back in the day. They just went out and kind of played ball, put some dirt on it when they got hurt. So, we'll just say we'll abide by them. How about that?
Am I wrong about this? Those rules are not applying in the American Association yet. Is that correct?
You know what? You're asking the wrong guy when it comes to rules and all that stuff. But I don't. You know what? I promise you, by next week's show, I will have an answer for you for that. But I want to say that they're big league rules, but I think they might be 1995 big league rules. And I don't know. Somebody said that they may have changed them, because I'll tell you what, the catcher rule. I mean, that kind of takes away the contact play for me, because instead of just running into a dead out at home plate, with let's say less than 2 outs, runner on third base. You're probably going to take 2 chances to try to hit him in, as opposed to just running into an out. But I'll check on that for you, and I'll make sure I get back to you on that one.
Okay, excellent. Next up, we have Lee from Topeka, who says, "I know Hoop talked about a lot about liking to steal bases and to be more aggressive on the base pass. What style of managing do you have?"
We just play wide open. That's the easiest way for me to say it. It's aggressive. It's it's how do I tell my guys to just use their eyes, and the game will tell them how to play it. And we're gonna hit and run, and we're gonna steal bases, and we're gonna try to take the extra bases, and we're gonna be aggressive. We're hopefully we're not too stupid as far as running into outs when unnecessary, making first or third outs at thirds, that type of stuff. But we're just going to play hard, and I've said it for the past couple of years now. We just play wide open, which means, hey, you think you can take the extra base, go ahead and put the pressure on the defense and take it. If you think you can run, you think you can steal, go ahead and get a jump and go. And as far as hitting and running, I don't think we'll do much squeezing as far as that kind of deal, but we're gonna get after you. I mean, we're gonna come in there and bring the intensity up, and just like I said, just kind of get up there and just play wide open.
Andy would like to know from you, where do you stand on players that use steroids?
Listen, I understand. I mean, I understand why guys do it. I understand why guys don't do it. Barry Bonds is probably one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen in my life, as far as the way he hit balls, the way his swing was. If a guy decides to do that, and he wants to, do that as a chance to, better him and his family, I can't fault him for that. So, do I think it should be in a game? Of course not. Of course not. But do you fault guys for trying to, better their lives, better their family lives, take care of their kids, that kind of deal? I mean, I don't think you can. But, I'm definitely against it, but I can't fault guys that do it. But I just don't think it makes that big of a difference, because, they say it's about the hitters. Well, pitchers do it too. They throw harder. Now the hitters, you still got to hit it. You still got to catch it. You still got to throw it, in my opinion. But, I don't think you can fault guys for, what guys try to do to, help their families out and help their financial situations.
That's very well said. Ken from Hayesville has a good question for you. He says, is baseball more enjoyable to you as a manager than it was as a player?
No, not at all. I miss playing every day that I go to the ballpark more and more. It seems like each day. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love being around, especially this group here in Wichita. I mean, they're unbelievable kids as far as being people, and it makes my job easy to go to work to every day. But I really miss playing. I miss, getting in the locker room, getting ready, taking at bats. But I enjoy. It's what I did. It's what I enjoy managing because now I don't have to run, so my titanium left knee doesn't have to get beat up like it used to. But I miss it. I mean, it was more enjoyable as a player, obviously, because you're getting into the box, you're battling against the pitcher. You're playing in games. You just everything about it. You got pine tar, you got rosin, you got new batting gloves, you got bats. I just get to carry around a fungo. I don't get to use pine tar anymore or any of that good jazz. But it was more enjoyable as a player. But this is my 5th year managing, so maybe ask me in maybe another 5 or 10 years, and it might be different.
I would think it'd be kind of tough as a manager just because you can't really directly influence the game like you could as a player.
You're exactly right, and it's funny that you say that because I honestly really can't. I mean, listen, I understand it's the manager's fault, but I really can't do anything. Like, I can't, they got to go out and they got to do it. And like I said before, I just try to stay out of the way. I mean, I can't. I wish I could unzip them sometimes and jump in there and take their at bat or see what they're, try to make them feel this or do this. But I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, I can't. I wish I could, believe me. I would do it in a heartbeat, but you're exactly right. I can't. That's why I just try to sit back and just sit back, watch, stay out of the way, and let those guys go out and do what they do.
Well, if I see a Christian Stringer costume there in the Wingnuts locker room, I'm going to know what's going on now.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Next comes up Gina from Wichita, who says, you have young kids. Do they play baseball? And if so, do you find it hard to not second-guess your kids' coaches?
I do have young kids, and they do play baseball. My son is 11. He plays baseball select, and my daughter is 9. She plays softball. And I don't second guess. I just, with me, I try to, I help out when I'm at home, and actually with my son's head coach, I ran their practices before I came here and, did the same thing last year for the whole summer. I just want them to play the game just the right way. We don't do any of the, when you're 11 and 12 and 13, I think it's more about development as it should be about winning. So, I don't really put emphasis on winning. I understand it's better when you win as opposed to losing, but if the kids get better, I think that's the most important thing. So I don't really second guess them because first and foremost, I'm not the main guy. But usually if a situation or something comes up, he'll kind of say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And as long as it's not the college Charlie type deal to where you're just running and kids are yelling at pitchers and doing all the rah-rah stuff and everything else, I'm okay with it. But I'm lucky. The coaches that my kids play for, they actually do a really good job. But sometimes it's tough, but I think you only second guess when either you lose or it's a wrong play. But you know what? At their situation, if they do it wrong, they'll probably do it right the next time because they'll probably learn that it was a wrong move. So you just kind of sit back and just let them do their thing.
When I first read this question, I think people assume that because you're a manager, you would challenge virtually everything else people would do. But I would assume actually because you're a manager, you understand why people make decisions, and so you kind of ride along with what they're trying to do.
Sure, you have to. I mean, it's if you want to sit there and second guess an 11-year-old baseball coach, I'll tell you what, you may want to step away and do something else. But it's just they're in charge, and to be honest with you, I just want to watch my kids play when I go around, and that's why I just kind of help out at practice, and when the games come, I just kind of sit back and just want to watch. But if something comes up in the game, he'll ask me after the game, hey, do you think I should have did this? I should have did that. And we'll talk about it and everything. But I don't think you second guess anybody. And I think, like I said, I think the only time people second guess is if you lose. I mean, I've never been second guessed when we won. It's usually when we lose. So But like I said, all the coaches that I've ever been around, they do a really good job because, hey, first and foremost, they're volunteers, and you know what, you can't put a price on that. And for these guys to give their time and give their skill level to our kids, I mean, I think it would take a lot for me to second guess any of my coaches or my kids' coaches.
That is excellent. Our next question comes from Lieutenant Steve from McConnell Air Force Base, who says, other than your dad, are there other players that you admired and wanted to style your own game after?
Man, I'll tell you, that's been the toughest question I've been dealing with since you sent me these, just trying to figure out. I mean, God, there was just Tony Perez. I mean, God, he's like him, Ken Griffey Sr., like my second dads. I mean, just great people. But I don't, it was, I gotta say no, because when your idol is your dad and your favorite player is your dad, I think if you say, my sister was different. My sister's favorite player was Steve Garvey and Willie Mays, so that kind of made my dad angry, and they used to rap each other about it. But my guy was always my dad. But I used to love a guy named Terry Poole, who was an outfielder for the Astros back in the 80s. He was a left-handed hitter, and I was a left-handed hitter. I just loved the way he hit, but it doesn't even compare to 14. I mean, 14 was my guy and still is, and so Lieutenant, I got to stick with 14, man. But there's, like I said, the guys on the Big Red Machine are probably second, and I used to love Terry Poole as a kid, but there's a lot of players that influenced me, and I used to watch, and it's funny. I tell people that's how I learned how to play the game, just by watching and emulating people, and I got to emulate my idol and actually go home with them and go to the ballpark with them all the time too. So it worked out pretty good on my end.
Tyler from Wichita, looking for a little baseball insight from you, says, Mr. Rose, I would like to play third more, but my coach says that I do not respond quickly enough. Do you have some suggestions on how I can improve this?
That's a good question too. My son does the acceleration program, the fast programs where you get out, you do ladder drills, you do strength conditioning stuff. I'm actually looking for a place here in Wichita to have him do it. I think there's a couple speed schools that he's going to come up for a month in the summer, and I'm going to have him do that before football. But I would do something like that, and then just remember, when you're playing infield, it's all angles. Your first step's always, it's never straight across. It's always one step. You're always angled back or angled in. And I think if you work on your angles, that may give you a little bit better range. And to be honest with you, if you use a little bit bigger glove than the patented, let's say 11-inch infielder's glove, that'll give you a little bit more range too. And, use your eyes when you're playing. If you got a big right-handed hitter up, maybe take a step or two towards the line. I mean, you can do that too. But I think, the fast program would be first, but just remember, you're always angles in the infield. Your first steps are always either angled back or angled in. It's never, straight across, because once you go straight across, then the ball's pretty much, behind you or by you already. So, but keep working at it. I mean, hey, never say never, and just keep practicing, jump rope. But like I said, I would definitely, you do ladder drills, you do plyometric stuff. You can, you take as many ground balls as you can, and you know what? Just keep at it, keep trying, and keep working hard, and it'll pay off for you.
Excellent. Well, next, we have a couple of Major League Baseball questions for you. Reed from Hutchinson asked, which are you more impressed by, a no-hitter or a guy striking out 20 batters?
Oh, man. It's got to be a no-hitter. I mean, that's I would say. I mean, you strike out 20 but give up a home run and lose the game, hey, that's great, but you lost the game. But if you pitch a no-hitter, you won the game. So I would say no-hitter. I mean, I know there's, I think the 3 or 4 guys that have ever struck out 20 in a game, I want to say.
That's correct, yeah.
I think, right, it's Wood, Clemens, Scherzer, and I forget who the other one is. But, I mean, these are great questions. I would say, the more you think about it, 20 Ks in a game, that's pretty impressive. I'll go with that. Because you think about it. I mean, there's only 4 guys that have done it, as opposed to, I don't know how many no-hitters there's been. There's probably been a lot of no-hitters. So I would say let's go with the 20 strikeouts.
Awesome. Owen from Kansas City would like to know who you expect to win the World Series this season.
Well, I would say the Wichita Wingnuts, but we're not in the American League or the National League, and I would love our chances. But man, it's really tough to beat to pick against the Cubs. I mean, they're playing well. They got great chemistry. They got great pitching. White Sox are doing well. Mets are. I'm gonna. You know what? I'll go. I know my. I'm a Reds guy, obviously, but I'll say the Cubs.
Are you seeing the big 109-year streak or whatever coming to an end?
You know what? Yes. I mean, it has to at some point, you would think. But I mean, they're just really good. I mean, they're really good in all aspects of the game, and they just seem like they get along with each other really well. And I mean, who wouldn't want to play for Joe Madden? I mean, I'd come out of retirement to play for him. I mean, he just looks like a guy that you would just absolutely die to play for and just run through a wall for him. So I think they got a really good chance to break that curse this year.
Next up, we have Chiefs fan who says, Pete, Kevin used to talk to us about all kinds of other sports with us. I just want to know if you can talk football with us as well.
Only if we talk about the Bengals, because every day is a who day for me. I am a huge Bengal fan. I love football. So any questions that they would want to talk about, I would be more than happy to. But like I said, only if we're talking about my Bengals, because we are going to win the bowl here shortly. And this year may be our year. We just got to wait for Vontez Burfict to get back. And once Tez gets back in the middle, we're going to be a team to be reckoned with again. So, but yes, absolutely, we can talk about it. It'd be wonderful.
How do you feel about each year? It seems like the last few years that they've been so close, and then some horrible thing happens like 2 games before the end of the season.
You know what? You just hit a sore spot with me, because I try not to talk about it, but it's heartbreaking. I mean, it really is, and it's like you think that we're cursed. You think that it's always something. Last year it was the penalty and everything else, and it seems like it's always. Don't get me wrong, the Steelers always get the calls, and I hate the Steelers. I mean, I can sit here and tell you, if there's one team I hate the Steelers, probably because they're so good and they always win. But being a Bengal fan, I hate the Steelers. So, but it stinks. It really stinks. But hey, it's like opening day. There's always something to look forward to. It's a new year. It's 2016. So, like I said, who day, all day, and every day. So I think we got a good chance this year.
Our last question comes from a personal favorite here to the show. Usually this is Angry Wife, who identifying herself to this time is not so Angry Wife at the moment. She says, Pete, my wife said some really stupid things during last season that Kevin and his wife helped me to handle. Can I count on you and your wife to help me out if he does it again? That is, if I let him stay around.
Sure, absolutely. Hey, not only am I a manager, I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a whatever you need. But yes, absolutely, anything I could do to help out, I'd be more than happy to help out. Absolutely.
Awesome, Pete. Thanks for joining us this week.
You got it.
We want to thank Pete Rose Jr. for joining us on Fan Interference this week. If you have your own questions or comments you'd like to pose to the Wichita Wingnuts manager, please send them to us at askpete@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's askpete@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give Pete a little time to review them before we record the show on Monday. I want to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll see you next time on Fan Interference.